So DMZ is just released and it's Call of Duty's twist on the extraction shooter genre, and after playing it, I'm pretty certain that it's one of the worst extraction shooters out there, and there's several reasons as to why this is, which all sort of come together to form one central reason. So I'm going to tell you what these smaller reasons are and what this big main reason is. So first off, we have a max player count of 66, I think. That's far too few for a map this big. Most of the games I've had in DMZ, we haven't encountered another team at all. Maybe just right at the end when we try to extract just as the match ends, and you need PvP in an extraction shooter. No one plays an extraction shooter for PvE. If you want a PvE game, you're just going to play, like a co-op shooter, not a PvP VE shooter. And with the map, I feel that there's no atmosphere to it at all. It is just a big city. There's nothing really special about it. I mean, it's sort of an abandoned city, but it doesn't really give us any reason as to why it's been abandoned. Yes, there's a bunch of AI all around the place, but there needs to be something more about it. There needs to be heavily destroyed, bombed out city. Give us a reason as to why it's been abandoned. Make it more than just a normal sort of city. And in the city, there's a lot of points of interest and high value loot areas like strongholds. But for a map this size and a player count for this map, there are far too many high value loot areas. Now, you may find this strange that I'm saying that there's too many places to loot, but what you need in an extraction shooter is something that really brings people together. You want to force those players to fight each other. Like in a battle royale, you have the zone that closes in and it forces people to fight. In an extraction shooter, you need few high loot areas or one high loot area which brings people together. In Hunt Showdown, you have the bosses. There's one or two bosses on each map. The players need to go fight the boss to get the bounty token to extract with it. In Marauders, there's the vaults. You want to break into the vault to get all the good loot, so people will generally go to the vault to try and get it. And in Tarkov, there's a few high value areas per map, but the map is quite small when compared to DMZ. And you have the randomly spawning bosses. So what this leads to in DMZ is all the players just being spread out. And like I said earlier, I've had many games where I just haven't seen a single player at all, and I know I'm not the only player that's had this. So when you're going around the game, you can loot extra armor plates, some better armor, which means you can put more armor plates in, random junk like screwdrivers, laptops, comic books, wine, and of course weapons and kill streaks. And this sort of junk, you can sell it for cash at a buy station. At that buy station, you can buy some kill streaks and buy some armor plates, better armor, maybe a bigger bag. But if you extract with a bunch of cash and it means nothing, every time I've extracted, I've had a whole bunch of cash left over that you can just do nothing with. But in every other extraction shooter, when you extract, you have like a home base. Maybe it can just be literally just a menu. But in this menu, you can equip your guy with better armor, better weapons, some gadgets. Essentially, shops where you can get better gear. But in DMZ, there is nothing at all. Why have they made it so you can only buy better equipment inside the map? At least give us a little shop in the menu where we can use this cash to, actually do something with it and keep track of the cash as well. I also would say that dying in DMZ, while you do lose the gear you have, it doesn't have the same feeling as every other extraction shooter. When you lose a contraband weapon, it doesn't feel like a big loss, because when you go into your next game, there's a whole bunch of AI in front of you that carry weapons. You kill them and you can just loot all their weapons. It's the same in other extraction shooters. AI that actually have weapons do drop them, but in games like Tarkov and Marauders, these weapons will be either generally worse, or they will have a much less durability, so they're close to breaking or jamming, and you'll generally have less ammo with those weapons. But in DMZ, you don't have that issue at all. There's no weapon durability. And the weapons that the normal AI carry are completely fine to use, and you will be able to get a bunch of kills with them. So losing that contraband weapon, which will have a few attachments, isn't a big deal. And your insured weapons, which are the preset weapons you can make through unlocking attachments and ranking up the weapons. So people that bought Modern Warfare 2, people that have grinded through all the weapons and pretty much unlocked everything, they can bring in these weapons that have loads of attachments on straight away. But if you die with that weapon, it's on a cooldown of 2 hours. And that's the game's way of having to get around of having any sort of shop system in the menus. So dying with one of your pre-made weapons isn't a big deal. In DMZ, you do have a progression system. It's tied into the general Modern Warfare 2 progression of your account level and leveling up your weapons. But you do have a mission progression system, and you can do missions for 3 factions. When you do these missions, you get XP, weapon blueprints, operator skins, stuff like that. But that mission progression really isn't enough for the DMZ mode. Again, if we look at other extraction shooters, Tarkov, you have your character skills which level up as you generally play the game. You have your gear progression in your actual hideout because you have to store your gear. If you lose that gear, it's gone for good. Plus you have your hideout which you can rank up, which lets you craft better stuff, heal quicker, amongst many other things. Marauders, again, you have that gear progression where you actually have a stash of loot in your base. There's no base to rank up in Marauders, but you can stash all your gear. But you have your spaceships as well, because at the beginning of each raid you do fly around in space for a little bit. And with Hunt Showdown, while there isn't that much gear progression, you rank up your account, which unlocks weapons that you can buy. Each character that you have in Hunt Showdown can rank up to rank 50, and each time you rank up you get upgrade points which you can buy perks with. And these perks can be things like take less damage from blunt attacks, from explosions. You can stay in iron sighted with certain weapons in between shots. You can heal faster or even heal more with the standard healing item. And I should mention that those 3 games I talked about, they all do have mission progression as well. Now I briefly touched on the AI already, but with the AI, at one time there's too many AI, like a constant spam of AI that keep coming in with helicopters and vehicles. But at the same time, there's also too few AI. I've spawned in the same location on different raids, and sometimes there's AI, sometimes there isn't. There's no consistency there. And I know why they're putting in lots of AI. It's because there's too few players for the map size. So I think these times where there's really no AI around, it's probably because you're near some players. That's what I'm guessing. And they're probably doing that because the general Call of Duty audience, to be honest, need that constant action. And these general AI, they're not individually threatening at all. You can take them out with a headshot, depending on the weapon. And then you have the armored AI, which are ridiculous bullet sponges. I'm okay with there being armored enemies, but to give them separate armor for the body and the head, while it makes sense on paper, it doesn't make sense for everything else in the game, because you yourself don't have separate armor for your head and body, but the AI do. So you can crack their body armor, start shooting their head, and then you've got to break the armor again. The AI in DMZ are being used in completely the wrong way. So we can look at the other extraction shooters for how they use their AI, and I believe Hunt Showdown probably does this best, because in Hunt Showdown all of the AI creatures can be killed in one shot. Technically one shot, so some it is just a shot, some you may have to use a certain gadget to kill them in one hit. So they're all really easy to kill, they're just a little nuisance. And what they're used for in Hunt Showdown is what I call a sound trap. They are purely there, so if the AI spot you and you have to kill them, they will make a certain sound. Your character will make a certain sound, either by shooting or having to do a melee attack, and that's going to alert other hunters of your presence. That's purely why the AI exists in Hunt Showdown. And if we look at Tarkov, that's another reason why the AI exists. They're not that threatening, they can be killed really easily. Sometimes they can kill you pretty easily, and it's the same in Marauders. They're not that threatening, they don't have good loot, they can be easily killed, but they really exist to let other people know where the players are. And yes, in DMZ, when the AI are in a gunfight with you, it's going to let other people know where you are, or roughly where you are. But with the sheer amount of AI there usually is, it's not really working that well. There's too many AI most of the time. So with all these issues added together, we get this one central issue of why DMZ fails as an extraction shooter, and it's because there's zero tension. When you're creeping around in the swamps in Hunt Showdown, there could be a player hiding in that bush over there, there could be a player creeping around behind you, and that player can one-shot kill you with any weapon in the game. And when you die, you'll lose all the equipment you've got on you, and you'll lose that character you've been ranking up and buying perks for. In Tarkov, again, there can be players around any corner, creeping around, having a long shot on you, which can kill you in one hit, and you'll lose all that gear you've had on you. And it's the same with Marauders. When you die, you'll lose all that equipment you've got on you. If you've gone in with a bigger and better ship than the default one, you've now lost that ship. It's also the atmosphere that Hunt, Tarkov and Marauders have. It's not just a city. In Hunt Showdown, it's a creepy swamp. There's lots of ambient noise. You got the zombies all around you. In Tarkov, again, you're on edge. The atmosphere of each map is so much better. It's so much more intense than DMZ. And Marauders, it's got this diesel punk aesthetic, so when you're creeping around an asteroid mine, a space station, or a penal colony, again, it feels so much more atmospheric and intense than just a city. So what can Activision do to make DMZ better? Well, I've got some ideas. Firstly, reduce the map size. Whatever the player count is, it's far too small for the map size we have in DMZ. Reduce the map size or greatly increase the player count. Also, while you're at it, reduce the amount of high value loot areas, because you want your players to be forced to come together and fight. Kind of like with the Zone of Battle Royale. So reduce those high value loot areas to make people go to certain areas to find that good loot, which will mean they have to fight each other. So it's going to increase PvP, and PvP is what people want. And keep a consistent amount of AI. It shouldn't matter whether there's players in a certain area or not. Keep the AI there. Don't just spawn in AI around a group of players because there's no other opponents around them. Choose where you want these AI to be spawned in and leave it. Let the AI be used as a sound trap to be used to hunt down other players. And get rid of the armored AI. Just ridiculous and stupid. And with the AI soldiers, make it so their weapons break when you kill them, or make it a very high chance of them breaking when the AI are killed. This will mean that you can't just go in with pretty much nothing, or you'll be fine just killing some AI and having loads of weapons to loot. Make it rarer to find a weapon, or make people have to go to these high value loot areas to find decent weapons, not just so they can kill AI and they'll be fine. Then outside of the game map, give us a menu shop. Let us extract with the cash that we get during the mission, and then we can buy weapons, buy equipment, buy better armor, buy a better bag. What you can do is still leave the buy stations in the actual game, but make those items cheaper than what it'll cost to buy outside of the game. That will give you a little bit of risk of whether you want to go in with a bunch of cash to go to a buy station to buy it, or spend that money you've accrued up just before you extract to buy that stuff. But again, you could fight someone at an exfil, which will increase that risk. And since there's a whole bunch of operators in the game, put in a leveling system for each of those operators, similar to how Hunt Showdown does it. Once you rank up with those operators, you can then unlock perks, which there's already perks in Modern Warfare 2. And if you think this is going to be OP, well, it won't be. Because Hunt Showdown has been like this since it released years ago. And then with that operator, if you die, it resets him back to rank 1 and maybe puts that operator on a cooldown for like an hour or two to show that they're being healed up or something like that. This will increase that risk v reward, because you don't want to die with that operator and lose the gear and lose that progression you've got on the operator. And believe me, once you've got a high level hunter and Hunt Showdown, you've got loads of perks and you die, it sucks. So I think by bringing in these improvements to DMZ, it will make the game a lot better. It's going to increase that tension. You're going to be on edge a little bit more. You're going to have to PvP more because it's going to be a smaller map and less high value loot areas. You want PvP, you don't just want PvE. and being able to loot less weapons and having something tied to an operator progression with perks, you're gonna not want to die, and it's gonna feel worse when you die. You need that feeling of like loss when you die. Give us something to lose, not just an insured weapon which goes onto a timer. Give us something bigger. So those are my thoughts on DMZ. I do think it is worse than all the other extraction shooters out there for these reasons, but it can be made better. So let me know what you guys think about DMZ in the comments below. Are you liking it? Do you like my suggestions? Do you agree or disagree with me? And give this video a like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.